All right. So how about we take a quick look at
the dailies.
Front page of local dailies. Let me start with the Star newspaper, Vivian. A quick one is the front page of the Star newspaper. That is what I have here. Yeah. It's all about besieged leader. Besieged leader. That is Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who is, the question is, besieged leader. Will Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka accept to play second fiddle to Matiang'i? That is the question here. And will Mount Kenya agree to miss both presidency and running mate? It has been a bit back and forth in as far as balancing the 2022 arithmetic is concerned. And now, when you look at that picture of Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, quite pensive, all right? And the question is, will he be ready to play second fiddle to former CS Fred Matiang'i? And will Mount Kenya agree to miss both presidency and running mate? And yeah, the story is fleshed out there for you on page 4 and page 5. And again, why president may be forced to revisit deal with Kindiki? Okay. The political undercurrents in Mount Kenya East threatened to reshape President William Ruto's power plan for the next election. The story continues to say that a determined push by the Kalonzo Musyoka Rigathi Gachagua axis to stamp out his influence in the region could throw spanner into the works. At the heart of his this storm is Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, whose political future now hangs in the balance. Quite too soon. Quite too soon. Okay. And also, the gentleman on the front page again is Fred Matiang'i, who is now actually on the move. Former Interior CS Fred Matiang'i has been traversing the country. With the big one was his homecoming in Kisii and Nyamira counties, where he had, how do you call it? Homecoming reception in the Gusiland. So there's another story here. The story about a Ugandan who was found hawking gun in West Pokot will now have to serve 12 years behind bars. So it's a sad state of affairs there. So you can take a look at that. There's a story here where there is a pastor who rode for 100 days to ride in Africa to raise 2.1 million shillings. 100 days. But I think motorbike ride is fun.
It is fun.
Though I'm not a fan of motorbikes.
I don't mind motorbikes.
I'm not a fan of motorbikes. But there's a thrill those people, the riders, get. I envy them.
You envy them. I actually do. I think I'll get a bike someday because I really enjoy those bike rides. I do.
You get, but you must have some sense of discipline.
Yeah.
When you're on the road.
For sure.
And they're not just normal bikes that we used to, the normal bikes of the Ndudis we used to. These are special motorbikes that can go from Nairobi to Mombasa within a few hours, like 3 or something.
They're speed bikes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a pastor who actually did that charity ride for 100 days to raise 2.1 million shillings.
Wow.
And now, after crossing nerve-wracking terrains, the team is back home. Adventure. So the story, again, Vivian, shortly. Why New Alliance puts Kalonzo in a tight corner as Wiper Party rebrands? That is what is here. Why New Alliance puts Kalonzo in a tight corner as Wiper Party rebrands? It's because there is a case of instant analysis. You know, we can take a look at that. That Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has in the last 3 elections sacrificed his presidential ambition to support either Raila Odinga, actually Raila Odinga, so to speak. However, that he's made it, you know, so clear that he won't cede ground to any person in the next general election. And so now he's facing a team of political bigwigs who are also eyeing the opposition flag. So the question is, will he surrender for the 4th time?
Well, it's a matter of wait and see.
It's a matter of wait and see. Okay. So finally, that is what I have. The big picture of all the gentlemen and the Iron Lady who is there. And now here we have it. He is the main factor to consider, of course, in as far as politics is concerned. And then the gentleman who is also adding to the arithmetic is CS Fred Matiang'i.
Fred Matiang'i,
So here we are.
I think it's still quite early for us to know what coalitions are going to be there by 2027. We still have a long way. Okay, not too long.
Yeah.
You know, but I would say it's still a long way to go, because when it comes to politics, you know, just a day is enough for everything to change. So we still have 2 years to the election. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing other people merging, others leaving this camp or whatever. So it's still too early to get to predict some of these things, if you may ask me.
You're very right. Very right. In Kenyan politics, a lot can happen within a day. Within a day.
Absolutely.
We woke up the other day and we had a handshake somewhere in Arambe House and nobody saw it coming.
Exactly.
And that has changed the entire political landscape to date.
We now have a broad-based government. It's not something we would have predicted, you know, in this particular term of President William Ruto. But anyway, how about I take you through the Daily Nation and what has been highlighted on there. We have the top story over there is Ruto office gets 2.3 billion shillings for facelift. Now, Kenyan taxpayers will pay billions of shillings to upgrade President William Ruto's offices in the new budget, whose implementation begins on July 1st, 2025, making it one of only few state agencies to enjoy increased cash allocations, as KDF, teachers and police also get extra 45 billion Kenyan shillings. So that's a story that is on page 4. And still on the front page of the Daily Nation, there's this story that I had touched on at the beginning, whereby Cardinal Njue says Vatican has not invited him for the election of the next Pope. That's a story that is on page 2 of the Daily Nation. Another story here is on the assassination of Kasipul MP, now 4 detained, 30 days in probe into MP's murder. Another story is on Ruto's security. President Ruto's security, beefed up after shoe hurling in Migori tour. And then there's another one here, Gen Z protest deaths. Families launch public petition to force arrest of killer security agents. That's what on the first page of the Daily Nation. If I may just look inside the paper on this story of the voting of the Pope. Now, Kenya's only surviving Cardinal, John Njue, has said he has not been invited to the conclave at the Vatican, where the next Pope will be elected following the death of Pope Francis. Cardinal Njue said cardinals who participate in the election of the Pope are usually sent an official letter by the Vatican. So he has not received that letter, and so he will not be present tomorrow for that. Families of youth killed during anti-tax protest reveal pain and demand justice. There's a story laid out of a family, one of the family members of one of the youths who was killed last year on the 25th of June, and he's just letting out his heart and revealing the pain that he has gotten to deal with for, you know, the last almost a year now, and they demand for justice because no one has been brought to account concerning that. What other stories here? Ruto's security tightened following shoe incident. I'm sure you've seen the actual footage. I don't know if you've seen it, Victor, the actual footage of the throwing of the shoe. So clearly it wasn't intended to hit the president. Like the shoe, it's not the, you know, no one took the shoe off their feet and threw at the president. If you've seen the videos going around, someone was just playing around with their shoe, holding it as a phone, because everyone else had their phone up recording as the president was addressing them. So he was just holding that shoe up. And then I guess the person behind him was like, yo, you're blocking my view. So he hit the shoe. And unfortunately, it went straight to the president's face. Yeah. So that's what actually happened.
Allegations here and there, just trying to get to the real fact of that issue. But by the way, Kenyans are just hilarious.
There's actually a shoe, a song.
Exactly.
Already
out. It's something like, like a country music or something?
Oh, wow. Let me just tell you,
Right.
Kenyans are just a different
Kenyans,
breed.
you have enough energy. You can do something with that.
A different breed.
You can do something with that energy. Okay. So there's a story here, Vivian.
Yeah.
Before I come back to you shortly, when you talked about the new alliance putting Kalonzo Musyoka in a tightrope in as far as Wiper is concerned, and 2027 is concerned. Now, Jubilee Secretary General, that is Jeremiah Kioni, is now quoted to be saying that it is not a must that Mount Kenya has to present a presidential candidate or a deputy. That is what is here. That those two positions can as well rotate, between different, not communities, but regions.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be domiciled within the Mount Kenya region. So that's also something, I beg your pardon. Uhuru Kenyatta, while he was president, said that the top job should not always be traded between the Kikuyas, the Kalenjin communities. And that is what Jeremiah Kioni is also trying to insinuate. And remember, there has been that debate of whether former President Uhuru Kenyatta is trying to push Fred Matiang'i, former CS, in a Jubilee ticket. So that debate has also been part of a discussion because they feel that President Uhuru Kenyatta, or former President Uhuru Kenyatta, is pushing Fred Matiang'i into the opposition to be the presidential flag bearer for 2027. And much as they're saying that, we are still having a cup of tea, we're just having a conversation, we're just having, we're just friends, just having a meeting. What has it that in some corridors that is not settling down with some people?
Okay.
That if that is the position of former President Uhuru Kenyatta, then it doesn't have to be a Jubilee party. All right? In several occasions, we've also seen that Jeremiah Kioni has never attended any of these meetings. But still, the person who is perceived to be supported by former president attends. That is Fred Matiang'i. But no, in politics, as I also like the way you put it, I think in politics it's a very long time.
It's a very long time.
It's a very long time.
Yeah.
And we are likely to see, from my own opinion, we are likely to see a number of friends coming. And we're likely to see a number of political parties will be formed.
I'm sure of that.
As soon as IEBC will be in place, the moment those people will be sworn in, we will see a number of political parties which will be formed, and the registrar of political parties office will be a very busy place. Something that, my own opinion, that there are some political parties that have already been formed. They're just waiting in some safe or some strong room somewhere, waiting for the IBC to be formed officially. And the biggest test for these political parties will be the by-elections. Because how many by-elections do we have in the country? A lot of them. So some of these political parties will actually front their candidates to battle it out with the ruling coalition, UDA and Kenya Kwanza administration. Sema tamu sana.
I'm sure you're really liking it because politics is your thing. So yeah, but I feel like Kenya is a really political country. So yes, politics is the order of the day right here.
We consume and drink politics, sleep, walk.
For sure, for sure. Well, just to get to continue with what is on the Daily Nation, before I pass it over to you so that you can get us through the Standard newspaper, there's a story here. Mudavadi deals with he says deals with other nations won't be kept a secret. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, who is also the Foreign and Diaspora Affairs Cabinet Secretary, has said plans are afoot to make bilateral deals and treaties public. Public as part of an open government policy. Mudavadi said such deals will no longer be treated as military secrets and will be made public once Parliament has endorsed them. There's that. And then still going into the death of MP for Kasipul. That is, Kasipul MP was shot 5 times. Post-mortem shows that he was shot 5 times as 4 are held. The mystery behind the assassination of Kasipul MP Charles Ongondo Charles Ongondo Were continues to unravel, with the post-mortem yesterday showing he was shot 5 times with 3 bullets remaining lodged in his body. As government pathologist Johansen Oduor reveals This details after a 2-hour postmortem in the presence of Were's family members. Four suspects who are William Imoli Shigali, Juma Ali, and Douglas Mushiri Wambogo, as well as David Kagame, were arraigned at JKIA. So that's a story that I'm sure will continue to unfold as they try to find exactly who was behind the shootings and exactly who got to shoot MP Were. Victor, what is on the Standard?
Yeah, very well. I think before I go to the Standard, I think there's some good news here for the students that government will release 21 billion shillings capitation money this week. So some good news for schools across the country.
Yeah.
And of course, the Auditor General raised some concerns and allegations that some schools, principals sometimes sneak in some levies into school fees. That is making it a bit difficult even for accountability purposes. Okay, very quickly on the front page of the Standard, what do you have here? Burden of advisors. That is what I have on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Burden of advisors. There is a pictorial illustration of how many people are in the president's, the advisors to the presidency, to the cabinet, etc., etc. That is what I have here. The economic advisors, David Ndii, Moses Kuria, Monica Juma. We have got Professor Kisiangani and Jauko Buru, who are just but a few been featured here. Gobbling over 1 billion shillings annually in salaries and office costs, President Ruto's growing team of 20 advisors is a heavy burden on taxpayers. Despite their impressive CVs, many fail to offer tangible benefits to Kenyans, with their roles overlapping those of cabinet secretaries, leaving the country questioning their usefulness. So we have got 5 people on the front page. There is Moses Kuria, who is a senior advisor, Council of Economic Advisors to the President. We have got David Ndii, chairperson of the President Council of Economic Advisors. Monica Juma, who is the current National Security Advisor to the President. We have got Professor Kisiangani, who is former PS Broadcasting, Senior Advisor, Council of Economic Advisors to the President. And lastly, Jauko Oburu, who is the son to Senator Oburu Odinga, who is now the Special Advisor, Economic Empowerment and Sustainable Livelihoods. So you can take a look at that. That's in details why the Standard has put it in bold, where there's a case of burden of advisors. Very quickly on to the second page here. There's a case of global attention shifts to Vatican City as papal conclave begins. That is what you alluded to, Vivian. It's a process, by the way. It's quite a process where there's a white smoke and the black smoke. So when there's a white smoke, there's a deal.
There's a deal,
black smoke, no deal.
No deal.
So between now until we get the new Pope who is going to be representing the other side, then let's wait for black and white smoke. We've witnessed that in the past when the late Pope was being elected. I think Kenyans, the world in general, waited for that white smoke and black smoke. It was something that many people are not used to. It was a new phenomenon.
Yes.
So when you know, the international media houses would flash it and, oh, there's black smoke. No, there's no deal yet. Then when there was a white smoke, it's like Stephen
gotten a new Pope.
Yeah, you know the excitement when Stephen Merudi.
Yeah.
So there's a college of cardinals who will actually gather from tomorrow to elect Pope Francis' successor rather. And now any of the cardinals can be elected the new pontiff through divine intervention. That is what is here. So it's going to be a very busy week. The Sacred College of Cardinals will assemble in Vatican City from tomorrow, that is May 7th, to elect the successor to Pope Francis, who died on April 21st, 2025, and the leaders of the 1.4 billion Catholics worldwide. In a tradition of the Catholic Church, this position attracts no open campaigns. Okay, no open campaigns. So no candidates are expected to present or publish their names beforehand. Yeah. Sikuje na mabango and your posters and your manifesto.
Yeah. And by the way, do you know that everyone in there, you know, the cardinals plus the workers around that area, you know, inside, who will be inside there while they do the election. Is it really an election?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. While they do the election, like, they all take an oath of secrecy.
Yeah.
Every one of them takes an oath of secrecy. You can't let out, you know, anything that was spoken in there, anything that went or happened inside there. You just cannot speak it out.
That's why you hear they say that it should be done through divine intervention. Divine intervention.
Yeah.
Hey, interesting. Okay. So not
for
only
non-Catholics, it's actually interesting. It's like everything feels so new. You're just like, oh, okay. And
so
then what happens?
There are no campaigns.
Yeah.
There are no placards.
Yeah.
There's no...
Like, I can't, like, vouch for myself and ask other cardinals, please vote for me.
This is a secret to vote.
Yeah.
There's no conversing. There's no tea. There's no friendship. And can you meet in some corner somewhere? This is interesting.
Divine intervention.
Divine intervention.
Yeah.
Okay. So not only do the cardinals, Vivian, electors, take an oath of secrecy, what you've said, but the Vatican drivers, healthcare workers, kitchen staff, and anyone else in contact with the cardinals will swear.
Yep. They're also taking the same oath.
An oath of secrecy to never divulge any information pertaining to the papal elections.
Yeah.
Okay? So while any baptized Catholic male is canonically eligible to be elected a pope, in practice the College of Cardinals typically chooses one of its members. So what I'm trying to get is that if you are a baptized Catholic, you are fit to be a pope.
Yeah.
But it has to come from the clique of cardinals. All right? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. In the Catholic Church tradition, the election of a new pope will be similar to the process that saw St. Peter's become the first pope through a combination of divine appointment and his role as a key figure in the early church. So we are going back the history when this happened. So let me take you, the Bible tells us, you know, how it happens with the St. Peter's and all that. So a lot is happening between now and weekend until we get the new pope who is going to represent. And by the way, the new pope will have to get his, you know, special name. All right? Like Pope Francis, that was not his original name.
Yeah.
He just chose to be called Pope Francis. All right? So if you are a new pope, the new pope who will be elected will have, you know, that open hand, either to pick a name that you'd want to be, you know.
Yeah. To go by.
Exactly. Quote unquote, a nickname. A nickname. It also happens in Kenyan politics. Did you know that? Some of our politicians here
don't use their actual names.
Actual name. I don't need to mention, but we all know.
Yeah.
For example, Baba Yao. We all know.
Yeah.
When you go to the ballot, when you're looking for Ferdinand Waititu, sometimes you might not get him. But the moment you see Baba Yao,
you know that's him.
That is him.
Yeah.
So when you're looking for Victor Olo, and you're looking for... you'll vote for me.
Will you be on the ballot?
No. Okay. The story that happened for Baby Pendo is a story that we've been talking about for far too long, Vivian. Officers in Baby Pendo case charged with rape, murder, and torture. Baby Pendo's case started way back in 2017 during the post-election violence in Kisumu, where 4 police officers who were yesterday arraigned before at the High Court in Nairobi on charges of crime against humanity. And now there is a case, they have a case to answer, and the charges are detailed in a comprehensive 30-page document filed by the Director of Public Prosecution, that is Renson Ingonga, which reveals how junior officers killed Baby Pendo, raped women, and some victims allegedly forced to pay between 500 and 2,000 shillings. That is a case that we've been you know, it's been in the media for a very long time.
It's been ongoing.
Yeah, since 2017.
A very sad one, actually.
Absolutely. What do you have there before we take a break?
Okay, on still on the Daily Nation, We have TSC advertises secretary post as Masharia's term near ends. The Teachers Service Commission has formally started the process of recruiting a secretary who also serves as its chief executive officer 2 months before office holder Nancy Macharia retires. The Teachers Service Commission has called for qualified persons to apply for the job in today's edition of MyGov. Now, applicants have until this month, the 27th of this month rather, to send their requests. Ms. Masharia's term at the helm will come to an end on June 30th, 2025. So every eligible applicant is advised to apply for that particular position. Now we have another story here. Wainaina, why Uhuru and President Ruto wanted me out of KU. Professor says hospital ownership was the reason for his ouster before time. A year ago, Professor Paul Wainaina was unceremoniously sent on compulsory leave by the Kenyatta University Council, a move that threatened to end his academic career spanning over 5 decades. But rather than retreat into silence, the soft-spoken educationist took the bold step of seeking justice through the court. Determined to clear his name and restore his dignity. Professor Wainaina emerged victorious last week. Now, another story here, as we almost take the break, we have why WorldCoin was ordered to delete data. Now, global cryptocurrency project WorldCoin has suffered a setback after the High Court in Nairobi ordered deletion of biometric data collected from Kenyans 2 years ago. I'm sure you remember when they got into the Kenyan market and so many people went to just get to sign up for this particular cryptocurrency. Now, they have been forced to delete the biometric data that they got to collect 2 years ago in a judgment that entrenches the country's laws on the rights to privacy. Now, I'm sure this is where we get to end our In the Headlines this morning. Don't go too far. Good Morning Kenya will get to continue in a bit.